One, two, three, four.
And welcome back to another episode of Breakfast with Brothers.
What's up, you brother manians? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Good to see everyone's faces, hearing from the people. Hopefully everyone's having a great day. Looking forward to
Brother
this one
manians.
out. We'll have to hear what we have to say. It's going to be a lot of, maybe another bit of controversy, but I don't know. What do you think, Ian?
It's not really controversy. I just think it's like what people find they need to do within their own lives, in that essence.
And what might that be? Yeah, what is that thing?
So, big question, guys. So get ready. Big questions. Buckle in. Sit down. You'll probably pass out if you're standing up. So, big question. Do you think it's good? What was the question? Now I'm blanking on it.
Way to go. You really had them reeled in and then drop.
No, is it important for others to conform to society? I guess along those lines. Is it important to others to conform to society, or do we find it important to conform to society?
Right.
So I guess I'll start. I'll start with what I'm thinking right off the bat, and we'll get into it as we continue down the road, and we'll think of other things in the opposite viewpoint and such. But I don't think it's necessarily important. I think in some aspects we need to. I think we're kind of pushed into it in order to actually live somewhat of a normal life. But I think if like in the overall effect, I don't think it's important for your own personal good. If you understand what I'm saying.
I think I do. Yeah, to the point not your own personal good in the manner that you might do it for your own sake. Like, for example, if you're not going to conform, that doesn't, make you a bad person or whatever, but it seems like there is always a gear towards conformity. Like, there are certain factors or people or environmental things that happen that just push you in a certain direction. And, like, that stuff that, sometimes you can't control, but there is also a narrative that comes behind that with it's something that everyone's familiar with, and that's just how it unfolds.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand, and I mean, even in my case too. I'm not left out of that pile.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand how to move away from, in this instance, the herd. Following others.
Right.
Now, it's okay to follow others in the instance that you're not sure of what to do next, or where to go, or how to do it. Obviously you listen to others when you're asking for advice or asking for any information, or if you're unsure about something. Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense, because you're going to ask someone that's a little bit more gauged towards the idea of, or I shouldn't say that, someone who has a little bit more knowledge than, say, you. So in the instance that we're coming at, we're kind of looking at it in the essence of, I don't know, I guess just how people live. I guess we'll take it from the overall total circle of the events that we're now discussing. We won't get maybe we'll get into specifics.
You said, you're asking if it's important.
Right.
So taking that circle, because we could look at it as it's not important, but in that circle there might be pieces that are, which is kind of the side I'm going to take. Like, I'm not going to play the not important. I kind of lean on the it is important to conform. And once we get through this circle that you drew up, I know exactly what you meant by that. I'll kind of like interject and say, actually. So, all right, let's start the circle.
Yeah, I guess we'll just start with the kind of a basic one. Something that everyone does is just basic essence of living. Whether that's living in a house, paying we won't get too far into it, but like paying taxes, paying bills for your living and such, water,
Yeah,
electricity,
utilities, rent, etc.
gas, whatever it might be, as well as food or groceries, um, furniture, so on and so forth. Everything that it does, everything that you need to do to maintain a house within your life. So obviously, you need to have a connection to the world around you. You can't just be off the grid. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
That's not out of the question. But to actually be able to be around other people that you want to be around, and to have people over, whatever it might be, whatever event you're throwing, whatever you're living in, however you're living, obviously you want to have all of these things so that people can come over and not say, well, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So I guess in some instances there's that, but I also think a lot of these things, like I understand the essence of buying it all or purchasing and keeping up with, but it's also, some of these things shouldn't be or shouldn't have to be bought. And I'm thinking like water-wise, right?
Okay.
Is that like a necessary need, or is that it's obviously a necessary need, but is it, something that we should or we have to purchase? The essence of something that it is just in essence is something we need. Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just going too far into this, but
I think as far as conformity goes, I don't think that has too much of a tie, unless you're trying to make like a relatable comparison by some form.
sort of just a relatable comparison to the idea of like a I'm thinking too far into the conformity aspect of it. So let me take a couple steps back. I don't know. You know what? Why don't you just say?
I was gonna say.
You
like,
take the board.
in thinking about what conformity looks like, it's I think people paint that classic mold where, your first 1 to 5 years of your life, you're getting raised, learning the alphabet, learning how to write, learning how to read, a little bit of reading, and then you go to school, and then you figure it out as you progress, go, graduate, and then the mold says that go to school, graduate, go to college, get a good job, put money away, retire at 65. And that whatever that conformity looks like for that path is people just following this mold that people have understood to be like that common track. So conformity in my mind is people that would take on to that and then feel pressured into doing so. Say for example, someone who wants to be a musician, but instead every influence in their life is telling them everything but. And then by this person's choices, they've, just decided to be someone who's going to conform, someone who's going to, I guess, follow in someone else's steps is a better way to put it. But that's the idea that I was, I think I was trying to see where you were going with this comparison of paying into utilities and water for a specific example. Like, I was going to say that I don't think by any means anyone who pays rent or puts a mortgage down on a home or has to pay utilities is necessarily someone who is like a worrisome conformer. Like that person, has a place to live, needs shelter. Like I don't think taking over space to live and let live, I guess you could say, it makes you a conformer. That in that case is just a basic need. Everyone needs somewhere to live. Everyone needs somewhere to be safe, have a safe space, and then do everything in between: eat, bathe, whatever, sleep, rest, etc.
I think I was just taking it to like an extreme value, because obviously your viewpoint was a much broader and more focused than mine was.
But that broad mold is kind of where I would have started, and then we like.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I went into an extreme point first because not necessarily is it something that is conformed to, but just in the essence of in the extreme point of living, where it's like conforming into what our government has made for us, in the essence of, just an example. We won't get too into it because I took it way far into the example. So let's just ignore everything that I said right now and we'll just focus on. For those that do understand, thank you. But if for those that don't worry about me. I'm just rambling. But yes, as I think as like the shell that we've created, or I guess society has created for us through, like you said, through schooling, through, how we should act, what we should be doing, and how we should go about living, like the route that they've paid for us. So like obviously, like you said, it's schooling, go through high school, all the way up to high school, get your diploma, and then you go off to college, right?
Right.
Now, obviously, within a new day and age, college is becoming less and less, frequented. A lot of people are going just to start work, or those that, that can't afford to go to college to start work, or those that feel they need, not the need, they want to go into like a blue-collar position, then they can easily go to a trade school or, get their associates or something like that. Whatever path it is. I guess we'll sit on schooling for right now, because I think that's a good example of conformity and what they teach us.
Right.
So now we have that college example. Obviously, there's different avenues you can take, and a lot of people are realizing that college might be something not necessary in this day. And
No, and I think right there, as you're like speaking about that is a great point, because this is exactly part of what conformity looks like. Like you and I being able to understand that the narrative doesn't have to be just go to college, no matter what it costs, put down a loan, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to do that. You being able to say that out loud, that you can go and have options for trade school, or you can go to a 2-year, and get a degree until you decide, what you want to do, and then you can go for another couple. Or just avoid that altogether, and you could also just, go off in another direction and just work straight after school. It doesn't even have to be, if you're in a line of work that doesn't need that type of education, then you could save boatloads of money, and then you could still being able to, put down a living wage and also learn a craft, so. And that's the idea that Ian was right on the ball with, that should be the narrative. There should be, an excess amount of showing for everything that isn't just college. Of course, college is great. I'm not trying to shit on going to school in that manner and being able to graduate from university. But the opportunities are different for everyone. Everyone doesn't have to, like we were saying, conform to one specific direction just because their dad said so, or because their favorite history teacher said so, or because someone's babysitter said something that, sparked an interest in your heart. You have to always, be able to sit on your gut decision and also know that you don't have to follow that narrative. Conforming, in this case, doesn't have to be necessary.
Absolutely. I think you pretty much hit it on the nail. It's almost like it's shoved down everyone's throat to go to college, and yep. And I'll just take myself as an example. I did go to college. I went to SUNY Fredonia. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I did learn a lot. I have a lot more knowledge coming out of it. But truly, I'm moving towards a career that isn't even using my degree necessarily. Sure, my degree may have helped me get the position, and to the understanding, since for those that don't know, I have a degree in philosophy. And now, for those that do know, there's not much out there for a philosophy degree. There's maybe a couple of things that I can do, and I would need a PhD in order to do it. But I just have a bachelor's, so I really can't do much with it. Either way, I've received a degree. Is it necessarily helping me? Yes and no. I think I probably could have gotten the job without it, with the experience that I've gained from, different jobs that I've worked. So take with that what you will. For those that are thinking about not going to college, if there's any people listening that, at that age. But I digress.
That's the thing too, being able to, recollect and think about that based on the decisions you've made in post of going to college. that shows a lot too. That being able to go through experiences like that yield you new directions, ideas of thought, what you would want to do, and how you can adjust or help other people adjust. I think that's the best thing. Now that I've gone through school, you've gone through school, stuff like that.
Right.
Like there's different perspectives to be had in conversations that we've spoken about previously, and that's kind of what is helping in the fact of being able to see when conformity is important for society and when it isn't. Because now you, like I, have been there through example A of college, um, and then on top of that, being out and about, outside the realm of what you went through with school. Again, something we both share. But that's the thing where, decisions lead you in different directions and, choices have interesting outcomes. They could be good, bad, ugly, whatever. But usually, if you roll with the punches, things can work out. And that's where conformity can sometimes help because you know that if things are going left or right for you and you don't necessarily like it, you can, slowly walk back towards that path of conformity. There's like that consistent shell there. There's people that will help you because, they want you to be there. So just know that don't use it as a safety net. That's not what I'm saying. But just know that it's an interesting perspective, but that it is there and that there are, certain outlines that are already in place that could help and further whatever you want to do.
Yeah, but isn't our whole conversation just now is to go against that? The idea that there isn't one path to which conformity is.
I mean, I guess I'm not saying that there isn't that path. What I'm saying is that mold has been driven. We know that path exists, because you can see it, and that's why the word conformity exists, because that path is there. So I guess in the sense, I'm not trying to support it and be like, yes, conform, like it's perfect if you do. But the mold is there, and the people that walk that path, that conformed path, people that walk that path they shouldn't be shunned. Like they shouldn't be looked down upon. That conformed path is just what people have assumed it's been made into. I don't think it should be looked at as a bad thing at all. I was just in saying that using it as, something that could be a reference point for people that have maybe made a decision that they didn't necessarily like, that kind of idea. Something that you
Right.
always know is a consistent something. So I hope
I
it
yeah.
wasn't,
No, I understand where you're going with it. I just, in the essence of what has been instilled within us in these
yeah,
past, 20 years or so, it was like go to school, go to college, get a job. And now, obviously, we need to do those things, or we needed to do those things in order to get to the path we're at right now. But I could also argue that I didn't necessarily need to go to college in order to get the job that I wanted right now, or that I'm gaining right now.
right. No, I feel
So
that.
within what you were saying, like I agree with what you're saying. There isn't necessarily one path, but there's always okay. It's always okay to go back to the conformity, or back, not as a safety net, but as another path. I would say in that essence that it's not necessarily conformity now. It's just another route that you're taking, rather than just solely taking that one route, towards what you're doing. Do you understand what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, and being able to convey that out loud is like tough. I think, you know, being able to say that there's this existing path and that this, that, and the other, but people have made it so, and when we talk about it and what conformity looks like in other people's eyes, um, it just exists, and I think that's it. And I think we have to understand that it does, be okay with it, and then also know that when it's important and when it's not. And I think that's, where we always have to track back to with this question, because we are asking, is it important to conform in society? Or I guess it's the question isn't exactly that, but it phrases that way, right?
yeah, is it important to conform to society?
Right. Okay.
And so I would still say, within this example, we won't sit on too much longer. We'll try to get a different view in a second. This is just one. You know, I think it just shouldn't be shoved down everyone's throat in the essence of like, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do right now.
I got
Or
you.
this is what you need to look towards. Sorry, I used the same comment. But yeah, like in the essence of like wanting people to like go to college, whereas people
Yeah.
now find it like not necessary to go to college and to, do those things because one, most people don't have the money to now because of how expensive it is, and two, what are they gaining from it? Are people actually getting jobs right out of college with a degree?
Right.
And in most cases, the answer is no. It's sad to say, but a lot of people are getting degrees and they can't find a job, even though they're choosing, paths that are giving them jobs. And in the essence of like the type of degree they're getting, I should say,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, there's, we need people to work these jobs, and we hear that all the time. And then you get out of school and it's like, oh, well, we don't have jobs for you. We're full.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
Um, so just as that, I just wish it wasn't forced upon us. I wish there was more of a choice rather than one direct route that they want us to follow. Like I was saying earlier with, going blue collar route or going to a 2-year school, trade school, whatever it might be, or you just want to work, you just want to start working and, collecting money and just work
Right.
your way through, the ladder, so to say. But I think we should move past the college essence and I guess move towards more of, adult working class conformity. So in saving time, why don't you start us up on that so I don't go off somewhere else in La La Land again?
No, 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 no. I mean, I guess in this sense, that adult working class conformity looks like getting a safe, stable job, something that you can work at for a long time, or at least something that has good benefits. It doesn't have to pay great, but you get good benefits, so that way you're safe as far as health, vision, dental, etc. Tucking away for retirement, and then working, retire at 65.
Right.
Sometimes it's not even that number. That number might just be for getting a pension or a 401k payout, or an IRA in that sense. Um, Most people are usually working until they're 75, sometimes even 80 if they can push it. But in that sense, that conformity doesn't necessarily have to be. There's always an unlimited amount of money to be made, and I'm not going to sit on a rant and say, yeah, you got to grind, you got to hustle, you got to want that. But you should know that stable and steady jobs are great. If you're someone in the family who has children and a family to look after, and being able to care and protect for them is very important. Don't get me wrong, that's huge essence. Um, but in the sense that you're conforming to something like that, you can pay your way into insurance and dental coverage and vision coverage running your own business, or you could also do it working a job that doesn't necessarily offer it, and you could still do the same thing, and be making, for example, just making a big time remote job, like 150K a year or something like that, but they just don't give benefits, because they have a bigger salary, something like that. You shouldn't limit your potential to just doing that safe, that the conformity road, that classic get a job for what you went through to college, or get a job for what you went through in trade school. If you have some type of aspiration, maybe a dream in a different direction, there's no reason you can't test that too. Adult life yields a lot of freedom, if you have some time away from work and the energy to do it, of course. But without kids, and if you just have a little bit of drive, you can be able to adjust that. But we'll let Ian talk here. I'm not about to give a motivational speech to anybody, but just want to see what you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to be a little bit pushed away from my I hate conformity type rant, because obviously if you take it to the literal extent, Everyone needs to get a job in order to pay bills. Everyone needs to get a job in order to support their family. You need to buy insurance. You need to buy, car insurance. You need to buy, life insurance, health insurance, dental insurance, so on and so forth. Obviously these things help you stay healthy, stay alive, protect you in the instance something does happen, God forbid, so on and so forth. So obviously you can't get around the concept of having a job because the whole essence of, non-conformity, like moving against the herd, would be to not have something control you as such.
Sure.
But of course, the only way to do that would be to not be working a job or finding other ways to do that, where you're not being, you're your own boss in essence. I guess that could be a bypass to the whole concept of it, being your own boss. But in that instance, it's like you're still conformed within, other restraints.
Absolutely.
So with that, obviously we can't avoid working a job to some extent. We need to make money in order to survive because that's how the world is, literally. There's no bypassing that unless, like in my extreme case, you live off the grid and you get your water from the creek and you grow your own food and such, and you live in the woods. That is an extreme example. Some people want that, but besides the point. I would hope, you're an example of someone who has sort of your own business, your own company, within your Amazon business. And I think that's pretty cool because, well, it's not necessarily a normal job most people would think about, right? Sure, in the essence of owning your own business, but in the essence of what you do for your business is a different story. Especially those that are like musicians or artists. I think of artists as like painters or sculptors. Artists, and I guess you could use as musicians as well. Let's see what else. Those that have kind of absurd, I wouldn't say absurd as in a bad way, but like absurd like concepts of work. I think in some cases people who work online could be considered an absurd job or an odd job in others' eyes, where they're used to the 9 to 5, going to the office or going to work from 7 to 3:30 for landscaping or mowing or whatever it is people do. I would definitely say that's obscure, or absurd would be the wrong word to use. Obscure or weird to some others nowadays. So obviously there's those jobs. Yeah, there's those jobs that could kind of counteract the conformity that we kind of see, like, the 9 to 5 office job where I go in, I type a couple numbers on my keyboard, and then I go home.
Right.
So that's kind of, I guess there's a combatant to the conformity that most people see within just the working world. And I think what you do, what musicians do, what artists do in general, are kind of a fight against that conformity, because it's not necessarily a normal job in most eyes.
Right. It's something outside of the box. And to your point about being able to be outside the box and make a different choice and take risks and stuff like that, I was immediately thinking of the people that conform, that we absolutely do need. People who are doctors, people who are physicians, people who go into trade like plumbers, people who do anything with the Department of Transportation, even the highway department, local township, stuff like that. And then also, what's another huge one? I had a really good example and I lost it. Doctors was the big one. That one's absolute ultimate necessity. And I guess I'm thinking about farmers too.
Farmers, definitely.
People who really commit to the game as far as conforming in a direction goes. They're the ultimate 9 to 5, sometimes even 7 to 7. Those guys. So realistically, those are, people who could say, yes, they're conforming. Those are the people who are, doing backbreaking labor for little to no money. And, they tuck away, but retirement doesn't mean much, because they're just living on the farm the whole life. That's their vacation and their hell, if you will. So in that sense, it's in a lot of cases important on that end to conform. We still need to eat, we still need to be taken care of as far as health goes. And
Right.
then also on the sense of keeping our society moving, hustling and bustling. So there's always that too, as far as the important side of conformity.
Yeah, I guess that's a very important view to have as well. I don't think about those things when I think of the essence of conformity. I guess it is important. I shouldn't say I guess it is important to definitely look at those that do that work for us, that give us the option to choose what we want to do. Because I also have a lot of friends that follow that route. They're friends that are turning into doctors, friends that were farmers or continuing to be farmers, or any type of agricultural help. Even myself, it's like I needed to find something that I needed to conform to in order to actually push myself further, to give myself more avenues to avoid conformity, if you will. So yeah, it's definitely important to think about those as well, because without them we'd be nowhere, and we wouldn't be able to talk like this. So thank you to all of those people that do that work for us. Definitely appreciated in every avenue, so that we can talk about things like this. So, but I think on that note, we do need to end it. So thank you all so much for tuning in today. Thank you all so much for taking a listen to what Zach and I always have to say. As per usual, if you're listening on YouTube, check us out on Spotify. If you're on Spotify, check us out on YouTube. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And let us know what you guys think. What do you think about conformity? Do you believe in it? Do you not believe in it? Which side do you choose? Are you kind of with Zach, where he's balanced right on the edge, where it's important, but it's also not important? Or are you with me, where you think it's, kind of crushing society? Let us know. Let us know what you think. If you want to disagree with us, great. We'd love to hear it. But until next time, though, catch you guys on the flippy flop. Peace.